Hey everybody, welcome. It's Festool Live, 12 noon on a Friday. We had to do a best of series, but it's a very special best of series. It covers some of our top router accessories and also domino accessories. So check it out. We'll see you next week live. Okay, so there's two great things about the 1400. And what makes it completely different from all other routers out there? And we all know it's part of a system. You're going to need these. These are the rods. These come with your 1400. They're in the bottom of your sustainer. They kind of go missing because it's kind of like black on black. Okay, but just make sure, I know we pack them and everything, but you're going to need them. They're down there. Now, someone says, why do you put that in there? It's because there's two key accessories that work with those rods. The guide stop, okay, it comes just like this, and also the parallel edge guide. Now, I covered that parallel edge guide, but I'll cover it again today if we have time. Okay, so we include the rod so you're already pre-set up for some of the top accessories for the OF 1400 system. Okay, when you first get the guide stop, I want you to look. There's two pieces to it, okay? And if you notice right here, there's some screws. You have to, and it works on this rib or this rib, okay? Only one rides on it, but you have to knock out what we call the lateral tolerance or the slop. So to do that, you take a posi-drive screwdriver and you can, and I'll just do it like this, and you can knock out the lateral tolerance by pushing that tab forward so it slides really nice on there, okay? And you got to micro adjust there. So that's how that works. The way I like to check it out is I like to put a big lever on it just like this. So the rods go in here like this, and I always offset them because it's easier to get onto the base of the router like this for alignment because they're precision. But I'll go like this and lock them in, and I'll check just like this to make sure there's no wiggle. Hopefully that's a good tip for you. Now, I want you to pay attention to this knob right here. On other router systems, there's several knobs to tighten up on the rods of a parallel edge guide. Well, with the OF 1400, there's only one knob. It's the central clamping element. And as I place that on there, that's all I have to do. It's just tighten that one knob. There's another key element in setting it up on the guide rail. It's this foot. So you see how I have the router partially riding on the rail? Okay. This has a tendency to do what? Tip off like this. So what the support bracket does is what? Support, man. Okay, so you see how I have it on there? But it's got a scale. So, everybody out there, correct me if I'm wrong. Does anybody else's router have a precise 100% dead-on center line on their base? If they do, please let me know, because I don't think there is. Okay? Wait a minute. I know there isn't. Okay? It's because, you see these rods right here? On all our routers, we precision grind them. So when we place them on this base, we can actually tell you, because there's no wiggle room in here, that that's my center line of my router bit. Watch, come over here, Chris, make sure you get this. That's the center line right there, that's 0. Over here, Chris, come on over here. That's the center line right there. Okay, and if you go around, which I'm not going to make you, Chris, right here, there's another center line. So you have precise lineup. Does that save you time? If anybody's ever set up a parallel edge guide or set up a jig they've made to do a dado, right? Or a groove, more so a dado, because dado's cross-grain, or a mortise, that is a huge time-consuming operation. With the Festool system, check this out. See my center line? I'm going to bring that right over to the center line, just like that. Now, Chris is in the way. I'm going to eyeball it just like this. And you know what? That's pretty good for this operation today for me. Now, I have that set up, right? So if I have an MFT table, I got unbelievable repeatability, don't I? See that? I have that set up. So I can do multiples now. Oh my God, I'm going to take it a step further. Minnie already told us half of 18. Here's my 18 millimeters. That's my center line. That's 9. Okay, split the difference. But I want to stop it precisely here. Look, Chris, come over here and start it precisely here. So if I can come in here, Chris, 18 millimeter bit, I'm going to set this scale at 9 right there. Now, you might have one of these. This is called a limit stop. You get one with your TS saws, right? So if I take that and I slide it in here, I can stop and start this precisely. Okay, I'm going to take my deflector off here every single time. So I'm going to come over here, right? Okay. Man, we're learning about, hopefully you're learning a lot about your 1400, everybody. And see, check this out. See that? Now, if you're in the States, I believe this still comes with the guide stop. And does it come with an imperial or metric? I think it's imperial still. But there are some routers we include the guide stop, and it comes in imperial. So what's half a 3/4? 3/8. Okay. We are going to set depth. I want to set a depth of 5 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to take it out. Look at my router bit. I'm going to take it down and I'm going to start at 0. We call that ground 0. And I'm going to lock the plunge down. So now I can mess with this. Now it's got 3 turrets here. You get top, middle, and bottom. I always set for myself in case I have to take depth and steps. Okay, I always set it at the bottom one. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to release this lever down and let my rod drop down to that stop. Okay, now that's at 0, right? Now I'm going to take this setting here and bring it to 0, and then I'm going to take my micro adjust. We're not going to use micro adjust today. There's no need. Hey, that's a good episode, right? Micro adjust. I could show the micro adjust on a bunch of tools, right, for Festool, because we love micro adjust. By the way, I'll just tell you, each one of these clicks is 1/10 of a millimeter. That is daggone precise. I think my hair is 1/10 of a millimeter. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, good. Okay, so I have 0 set there. It's ball detented, okay? So I'm going to lift this up. I need, if I lock this in just like this, see how it's setting there? I started it up and I plunged. I would just what? I wouldn't cut anything. So what I'm going to do is release it. I'm going to go 5 millimeters more. And here's how easy it gets, everybody. I'm going to take a precise gauge block, 5 millimeter domino, and I'm going to put it right in there and lock it in. Don't tell me that's not easy. That's how you do depth setting. And over the years, someone says, well, I don't have dominoes. I don't have this. Do you know what's a great gauge block set? Is the shanks of your drill bits. If you have a drill bit index, you can use those. Just put that, say you're doing something at 7 millimeters. Just take that, take your drill bit, put it in there, and you're good. Before I put the electricity to it, and before I'll put my dust extraction, I do this because I want to verify. I'm going to make sure all my kit, as I call it, is tight. Okay, so I have no movement. The other thing I'm going to show you, and this is going to come, our next operation is going to come to fruition when I talk about this. This is my dust extraction. The beauty of this size, diameter, is 27 millimeter hose. Let me see, I got one of them over here. Look, will go on the inside. Okay, but there's a situation with this. If you're using your 1400 and you're doing a lot of splintery wood, that will go through here, and this is a choke point right in here. Okay? Hopefully you never come up to that, because if you have a 36 millimeter, you eliminate that choke point. Okay? And I'm just going to get that. Oh, boy. That's tight, huh? Okay. That eliminates the choke point. So you're going to see where I'm going to use a 36 millimeter on this all the time. Now, I don't need to do it on this, but there is a window. And when you see the window on this, hopefully you can see it. A lot of people open it up only this far. It's really good to open it all the way. And you're going to see that right over here when I do the profile bit. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it in. There's 2 little mortises in here. These are 2 little tenons. Think of it that way. I'm going to place it in here in this little green tab. I rotate back here, and it holds that dust extraction absolutely perfect. And then I'm just going to rotate this over, and now I'm going to hook up my electricity, my plug-it cord. No matter how much I set up, I'm always getting, discombobulated. Okay. The other thing I do anytime I put electricity to a router is I do this. I cycle off my switch. You don't know if it's coming from where or whatever, and you inadvertently had left it on. Make sure it's off. Okay? I'm going to get the power to it. Remember, with a plug-it cord, it's a full quarter turn. Okay. Next, let me get my hose here. Get it over here like this. I like to do this. Now, before I put on the electricity or the power, my hand goes on here and never leaves. Okay? I'm just going to verify in case Chris moved my depth rod. Okay? I'm going to turn it on, and I don't have to lock the plunge in. Look at that. And you're going to see how my hand never left there? I'm going to let it cycle down, and there you go. Dead on and dead on, okay? So I wanted to make sure you saw that, and hopefully that was concise enough for you. Remember, the dust extractor, look, that's all there was, okay? There would have been a lot more. We effectively catch the dust extraction, and you saw how this dust port went on there effortlessly. Okay, next. So I want to teach you one more thing. You know this is an accessory, the guide stop, okay? But I want to teach you about another accessory that I always recommend because everybody needs this. And it doesn't matter if it's Festool router or anybody's router. You need a parallel edge guide, okay, to run grooves or flutes or whatever, okay? But I want to show you how easy it is because of center line. Okay, so what I did is I'm going to run, I think this is a 10 millimeter bit. I scribed the center line here. I just ran that over, okay? And what a parallel edge guide does is it runs the router parallel to an edge that it references. So this is the one for the 1400. Yes, the rods I've attached. I've offset them so they go on. Okay, but this has a killer built-in micro adjust, and I'll show you that. Okay, so Chris, I'm going to have you come over here so you can check this out. Okay, there's my center line. Okay, so I like to set it up here where my uniknobber is right here, and I'm gonna. I can't help it. Okay, I just can't help it. Okay, now I'm going to bring it over. Okay, and I'm going to get it close. And I'm going to tighten this knob, and what? The central clamping knob, okay? Now, everybody thinks you've got to loosen these two knobs. No, those are just holding in the rods. This is the beauty of this parallel edge guide. Chris, get down in here so you can see it. This is where I'm going to be holding it, but it's also, I'm going to loosen it ever so slightly, and now I can micro adjust this. And you see how I can bring that in wicked precise? Just like that, and then I just tighten this knob. I'm pretty much ready to go. You guys want me to run this one? Okay, let's do it. Okay, so there we go. Now, when I'm running this edge guide, I like to put my pressure on here. So, okay, so let's just give this a quick start. Okay. What people don't realize, and hopefully today I do this justice and show you how substantial this piece of plexiglass is, okay? What you don't realize when you look at that picture is these are 14 millimeter thick fences, okay, made out of Lexan, okay? It's substantial. It's with some barrel bolts here, some knobs, a second port for dust extraction. The primary port is on the router, okay? And this is a 12 millimeter thick mounting plate. The hole here is 30 millimeters in diameter, okay? Now, when we were setting up for the live and doing a dry run, of course, these are all the different mounting holes, but I grabbed a light, and what people don't see until they're faced with this is, Chris, let me see if I can get this. Once you mount it, there's a scribe center line here. And here's the missing part. There's a scribe center line here. So you can set this up absolutely perfect to do all kinds of mortises and some trick joinery, as I call it. There's also a scale here, all right, where you have your 0 mark. And this is where it gets kind of crazy. I always look at things like this. I always look at what's the minimum thickness you can go down to. It's 18 millimeters, okay? And let me just grab this, Chris. I'm going to just jump over you really quick. Right here, look. I can do 3/4 material, okay? But I can also open it all the way up this quick, okay? And yes, my lineup's easy because I work off a center line like everything Festool. To what? 119 millimeters. Now, if you need to know those dimensions in Imperial, 3/4 all the way to 4 and 11/16. You know how I know that? I wrote it down on the table. Okay, good. It comes with mounting screws and ready to go. So, once again, check this out. You can mount it to your 1010. Okay? You can mount it to your 1400. All right? And look, you can mount it. What did I used to? I used to call this the shouter, the shaper router. You can mount this to your OF 2200. I'm going to take this off, okay? Because I'm going to actually run the 2200. I want you to look up. Excuse me, Chris. Check it out. That is our interior door, okay? And what we do is that's a tongue and groove. Greg Pellini designed these, and he designed a class for us where that's a tongue and groove out of Eastern White Pine. We do the tongue and groove insert to the top panel and bottom panel, and we do it all from scratch, okay? But what we do is we need to insert, this is our tongue and groove panel, okay? We need to insert that panel, and we have to create a groove in our rails and stiles. So that fits in there just like this, okay? Pretty easy. So, of course, what do? This is 3/4 material, 18 millimeter or 19, whatever. I got the right bit in there, okay? And we're going to create this groove. Okay, now setting this up could be problematic, but not with this jig. Follow me on this, everybody. I'm going to set it on here. I closed. I'm going to grab my light. You're good, Chris. I lined up. I scribed the center line on my stile, okay? Now, I'm going to mention this as I do this. I'm going to make a mark on this face right here. And you'll see it. I have it on other places. This is the face, okay? Does it have to be exactly in the center? You want it as close to center on this rail and stile system as possible. But what I always do is I make sure that fence is on that face at all times. We do that for a parallel edge guide. Yes, I know this is centered, but in my eyeballing or looking at this and measuring it, that may not be exact center line. It probably is. Okay, I'll mark it, center line right here. There's your mark for center line. Okay, so what I did is I took these fences and I adjusted them. And if we come in here, you'll see it. Look, I got that scribed line right on that center line, and you'll see how I move it. See that? Everybody following that? Okay, so I've done that. I've taken those fences. I've tightened the knobs down, and we're good. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. So for that top rail, if we look at it, it's 5 inches. I measured here 5 inches from my rail, and what did I do? I made my mark. The middle rail is 6 inches. I did the same thing. And down here, this is a 7-inch bottom rail. Okay? And I made some marks here and here. And we're going to key in on this one. This is the center of my door. This is where my lock set's going to go. Okay? But I need to create this groove. So what I want to do is, in the plans that Greg drew up, we have a 1 inch or 7/8 thing. You see how I scribbled that? 20 millimeters. I scribbled it out. That's 3/4 or almost 7/8. I scribbled it out because that's not where I want to stop. That's where I want to stop my bit. Okay? It's a 20 millimeter bit in there. Check this out. I want to stop it at 10. So that's why the center line is so important. I hope you're following this. So when I take this and I bring this over here, Okay? I don't want to have to eyeball the flute of that bit at all. I want to take my center line, and this is where we're going to come in here, Chris, to see this. Okay? That's the bottom of the rail, the center rail. Okay? And that is where, what? That's the center of my bit right there. And you see that center line? I lined it up. Now, I don't want to leave a light there while I'm routing to stop it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some stops. One to stop it, because I'm going to be going this way with the router. Okay? I'm going to grab a clamp, and look where I'm going to put it. Right here on my stile. Okay? So there we go. Got it? Good. Now, over here, I got to take it, and it's the same thing. Look, that is where I want to stop the bit. That's my center line. That's the top of my bottom rail. I'm going to bring this over, and let's get the line up on there, just so you can see it. Okay? I'll tell you what, center lines make things effortless if you can trust them. And with the Festool system, you can. Now, how am I going to set up this? Come over here so we can see this. I can't clamp onto the rail with that clamp. So what I did is I grabbed a block of wood. And this is why it's great to have an MFT and all the dog holes in here, because I could take that and create a stop this quick with this. Let me just zip this around in here. Whoop, catching a knob. Oh, I'm catching that panel. There we go. I'm just going to lock that in like this. Lock this one in here like this. And there's my stop. Cool? Just verify it. I'm going to bring it in. I can see it. Boy, that light makes a difference. You know that? It has to be a Festool light, by the way. Okay, good. Good. All right. So what's the next increment of measurement? Well, the plans call for a 12 millimeter half-inch depth of groove. Okay? That's easy. Okay? Let's set the depth. I love teaching people how to set depth. I got a scale here, right? Okay? I don't like using scales, but I'm going to take this and set it at 0 and lock it down. Now, I could look at the scale here. Come over here, Chris, so you can see this. Look, and bring it up to half-inch. But I don't like that. I grab something I know it's 12 millimeters of depth, right? It's a domino. So I take that, I bring it just like this, and I set it on my depth stop, and I lock it in. Now, here's what's really cool. Look what it reads. Half-inch. Okay? I try not to use my eyes in woodworking. Okay? So, there we go. I'm going to take it like this. Now I don't have to think about it. What do I have to do? I have to hook it up to the dust extractor and hook up my dust extraction. Okay, so remember I said you have dust extraction here on the plexiglass routing aid, right? But that is the secondary. I'm going to zip over here really quick. This is why we have a Y piece. I actually call this the flux capacitor. Okay, this is a Y piece, and hopefully, Chris, you can come over here and catch it. I have it on the CT. I got my CT all the way up, okay? And that is where I have a Y fitting. So I have two 36 millimeter hoses. I want to get all the dust. I'm going to take this over. I'm going to hook it up here to this port, okay? And let's make the mortise. Now, what I'm going to do is, this is why you have a depth stop turret. My stop at 12 millimeters is right here. That's what I did. I didn't do it off this one, the very final. I did it off this one. But rule of thumb, it's not good to take a 12 millimeter mortise all at once. Yes, can we do it with the 2200? Absolutely. There's so much daggone power in this, it's ridiculous. But let's take it in 2 steps. Let's do it safe. Okay? So, I'm going to turn it on, lock it in. Whoopsie. See? I'm not practicing when I'm preaching. I'm going to take it over and hit this stop first. Okay? Oh. I don't have enough. I guess I'll take it all at once. Make sure my hoses are clear. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to make sure I get all the dust out of the mortise. I'll come back and just make sure I get all the dust. So you'll see, and let's zoom in on here. Look how, there was my center line. I set it up here, and look how it ended up right on that mark. You can get as accurate as you want with this plexiglass routing aid. Say you have a cabinet like this inside your truck or whatever, your van, and you say, okay, I love this. I got adjustable shelves here. I just love it. But man, I want to add another one or another one so you can expand the system. It's simple, and I'll show you how. I'm just going to take it like this, and I'm going to loosen these screws right here. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. This is my end panel. I'm going to leave this right here. This plywood is 18 millimeter. So many. You told me that it was 9 millimeter, half of 18, right? Yes. Okay, so this is what I'm going to tell you. I did this mortise in here, what? 28 millimeter. Okay? If I did it with a regular domino that was an 8x40, it would, in the middle, push the panels away. So we had to come out with a shorter domino. We didn't want you to have to cut all your dominoes down, right? So if I do the math, and I did this, look. If I push this in here like this, I measured from here to here 28 millimeters, and you'll see it go in. See that? Right to the line. Did you catch that? Okay, and I'm going to do it on this one, just like this. Okay? Now, Minnie, what's 7 and 7? 14. That was good. All right. So that's how I built this. You see that? So if I take this now, and let me put the center panel in, I'm going to put another domino in there, and another domino in here. Okay, because I did these yesterday, 28 and 28, and you'll see it go right to the line. So those dominoes, when they go in, will not meet in the middle. There'll be how much space between there? 4 millimeters. In other words, I'm not really worried about the glue line. I'm worried about the shear strength. So someone said in the initial Festool Live, episode 11, I keep calling it out, what if I have a wider cabinet? Could you put in another connector? Yeah, but it's not necessary. Put in a domino. Okay, that way there you have more shear strength. Okay, so let's see if I got this right. This is the wrong one. I think this is the right one. It is. So I'm going to take it like this. I'm going to line it up like this. I'm going to bring it right in. Practice makes perfect, Sedge. There we go. I think I got it all right in there. Okay, so there's the first one. Then I'm going to take this, edge banding to edge banding. So I'm just going to take this and tighten it up now. Making sure that front edge is nice and tight, and you'll see it draw right in. Look at that. Perfect butt joint. This one lines up with your groove that I've already grooved for your back. Okay, and then I'm going to grab another one because I can. And think about this. And when I was doing this yesterday, I said, you know what? This is really cool because people can see how quick you can expand this system. Let's put this in here. And I'm not going to tighten these screws right away because I want to show you one more application that we talked about, but I really didn't do. See that? That was all cut just right. And I'm going to take this. I'll just tighten a couple of screws, and you'll see how this all comes together. So there we go. Okay, so I have that. I'm not going to tighten these screws because I want to show you one more application. I'm going to take it and turn it. And we've taken it from 2-bay to 3-bay just like that. How's that? Yeah. Good. Hopefully I covered it a little bit better than I did in episode 11, okay, for center panel. Now, I talked about these, okay, to utilize. These are the pins that I showed you, but they go into either a wedge anchor or they go through the through panel. But what if we want to add just one fixed shelf here? Okay, and let me show you a couple of tips and tricks on that I've learned over time. I'm going to take this top off. Now, you can put an adjustable shelf. That's easy. But the nice thing about all this hardware is you can use a CXS or any drill. Okay, see that coarse thread? I'm going to throw it right in there. Oopsie, as long as it's in forward. Okay, just like this. And I'm going to turn it back to make sure that taper is facing down, because I don't want anybody to see on my shelf my connectors. And I'll take another one and I'll put it right here. Yes, I have them pre-marked because I didn't want to have to count on camera. You know how bad I am at counting, Minnie. I'm going to take 2 more of these, oopsie, and put them in here. Just like this. Get it in there like this. See that core stud? That goes into your existing 32 millimeter spacing holes, your system holes we call them. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and this is going to go like this. So I need these turned back like this. I'm always going, that's my front, that's my back. So I'm going to set that like this. And now let's talk about the shelf. Here's the shelf we just made, and it's got that groove. But what I did is I want it to butt up against what? The back. So I ripped that off with my track saw. Okay, I just lined up my rail right on there and ripped it so it's a perfect fit. I'll just tighten it up like this. Perfect. Right back here. Okay, there we go. There we go. And then what I'll do, drum roll please. I'll take this like this. Now here's where you got to be a little bit careful because you got so many things happening. Okay, you got your pins going in here. Okay, all of them. Okay, making sure they're all turned correctly, which I'm double checking. Okay, they're starting to fall in, but you also have the back to get in the groove of this. So when you do this, there you go. There you go. Let's do a couple of tightens, and we'll stand it up here in a minute. But everybody check this out. We now have, and now you can see how expandable this system is, right? I'm hoping. Now, what if I want to put 2 fixed shelves in here? You can do that. And I showed this in the other one. I just didn't want to go on and on about this. Because this is a through hole, you see how I screwed those in because I just wanted 1? But if I needed 2, you'll see how that threads. And when I push it through here and this goes in here like this, it offsets, and I could put a double shelf in here, fixed shelf if I want. So I could have continued this all the way across.